In this video, we're going to go over how to create a floor plan graphic for both the integrated centralized control web and the touchscreen on the AE or TE-200. To start, we have our initial settings tool. We're going to load the graphic this way. In another video, I will cover how to load the floor plan graphic through a USB drive on the TE-200. So to start with, we need to have a floor plan that is the correct size. So the size requirement is 1890 by 900 horizontal and vertical for the floor plan graphic. This is regardless on whether you're using one section or multiple. So each section on the floor layout is as such to where it depends on how much of this you're using for your actual floor plans. So when you do this, you're at 450 by 630 dots. Additionally, this needs to be a GIF file, and that is the only option. And if you are loading it onto a flash drive to load onto the controller directly, it's going to have to follow a specific naming structure. So let's get started there. So here I have the high resolution floor plan. This is what I started with, and I got this from a PDF that I managed to pull a bunch of the extra stuff out of. Now, there is an option to resize in here, but this is not going to do what we want it to do. Let me show you what it looks like when I resize to the correct pixels. You see how this is squashed because it didn't, in order to get to the correct size, it didn't change the aspect ratio of the drawing, or it did, so it squashed it down instead of adding additional white space. Now, we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Microsoft Paint in order to get this graphic going. So I have to start with the correct canvas size. Currently I'm 600 by 600 pixels. So I'm going to go to Resize, Number of Pixels, and from here I will go ahead and put 1890. Oh, well, maintain aspect ratio. That's got to go away in order to be able to have my vertical height at 900. So now I have this 1890 by 900. It's the exactly where I want it. Now, one thing you can do to start with if you want is to go ahead and give yourself some little markings to help you position your drawing. Right here at the bottom, on the bottom left of Paint, you'll see that I have, it shows me the pixels I'm at, so 630, and then I will go with 1260 or thereabouts, just trying to get a rough ballpark, and then 450 pixels or so on the vertical. I will be erasing these lines afterwards, but this will give me a quick or an easy way to kind of reference where my floor plan is going to be at. So I cannot just copy and paste in this floor plan because it's at a higher resolution than what's already there. Now I could resize this to a lower resolution so it's smaller than this, or what I tend to do is I just use the snipping tool in order to grab a picture of this. I'm going to restore this and see if it's about, and hopefully it's about the right size. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. That should help, and we'll see if this is good enough. So now I'm going to go to my snipping tool and my floor plan, and I'm going to go ahead and take a capture of this. So that looks good, and then I'm just going to hit copy here. So in here, I'm going to Control V to paste, and that did not change the size of my overall drawing. So now from here, I can go ahead and resize until I find a size that works for me. So I think I'm going to go with right about this size. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut through a room, but we're going to look at, we've got a line up, if we imagine a line through here and a line through here, I think we're going to be at a relatively good spot. Maybe drop it down a little bit more. And then we can see that it's going to cut through that fan coil, so maybe we don't want that. There we go. I think that'll cover the rooms fairly well. So now that I like what I've got here, I'm going to go ahead and click outside of this, and I can no longer move this around. I'm going to use my eraser to get rid of these little markings I did so they don't show up on the graphic. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to go File, Save As, a GIF. And if for some reason you just did File, Save, or File, Save As, you can always change it in here to make sure that it's saved as a GIF. I'm going to call this one Floor 01 because this is going to be reused when I show how to load it into via the flash drive into the controller. So now I'm going to save that. Yes, it's going to reduce the quality. GIFs are not known for their image quality. So now that we've got a picture of the right size, and we can confirm that by going to the folder and hovering over, and it will show 1890 by 900. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now we go back into our initial settings tool. In our floor settings, we can go ahead and add a floor. In this case, I'm only going to add one because I only have one floor. If you wanted multiple floors, you can do different floors, you can designate them, you can give them a name, and you can have a different graphic for each floor. But in this case, I only have one floor, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to name it Floor 1. So I know that I have this for the graph drawing because I just made it. But I'm going to start with using all 6 spaces so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to import, find this Floor 1, and go ahead and hit open. I'm going to save this, and now I get to go to where I put the fan coils on the graphic. So going to floor layout, I'm in assignment mode right now. Assignment mode is where I will actually be able to select fan coils to put onto the graphic. Here I'm going to select FC1 and stick that guy right there. That's FC1. I'm going to move down and let's go ahead and put 2 here, 3 here. Let's go ahead and throw 4 there, 5 there, 6 there. Oh, well, maybe this one was actually 8. So now I need to move 6 elsewhere. I can't move between panels. Actually, I can. Huh. Well, that's nice. But if I wanted to not have to bother with that, I can also go to deletion mode, click on this guy, and that'll allow it for reassignment later on. So as we scroll through, you'll see that there's that, and this last section is completely empty. So we don't want to have that show up when someone's going through and dealing with it on the touchscreen. So we're going to shift this to 4 segments instead. I'm going to hit save again. And now back to the floor layout. I can only scroll over for those four sections instead. So I'm going to hit save on this. Now on the integrated centralized control web, I can copy my floor settings directly over from the floor and floor layout settings. And this will copy over the graphic, and it will also copy over the layout of the devices. Now notice how this one scrolls smoothly. The control web doesn't have those specific segments, but it does have a minimum and maximum size for the graphic. In this case, the 1890 by 900 is the maximum size, and 450 by 630, which would be 1 segment, is the minimum size of the graphic. It also needs to be a GIF file. But since I can do that, what I'll do for the control web is I'd actually go ahead and hop back into Paint, and I'm going to resize this canvas here. So I've got something that is a little bit, better there. I'm going to save this again as a GIF, and I will call this one Floor 1 ICCW for the Integrated Centralized Control Web. So now back into here, I'm going to clear this drawing out, and I'm going to import this drawing. Now, it still fills out this block, but once I go over to the floor layout, you'll notice all that extra white space that I cut out is now gone. So we'll have the graphics on the web interface will show up without a whole bunch of excess area that we don't need. So once this is all assigned and saved, and you have everything the way you want it, then you can go to File, Save, and then you would send the data. And I don't have a controller hooked up right now, so I'm not able to send this data. Once that goes in, then you will be able to look at your floor plan on your touch screen and go through the different segments in order to see what each fan coil is doing. All right, I hope this covers how to do this as a high-level overview. If you need to see additionally how more information on how to do this, please cross-reference the manual. This will be on MyLink Drive under the AE-200 or TE-200 if you're using Train MyLink Drive. Then you will go, and it's this instruction book, initial settings. This is the manual that you want in order to be able to view what the requirements are for this image. All right. And the next video will show how to load this file that we created to a central controller with just the USB flash drive in case you do not have the initial settings tool on your machine or don't have the ability to hook up to the controller in that way.